In today's video, we will be talking about and examining the impact of the Columbian Exchange on the modern world. But before we talk about its impact, we need to know what the Columbian Exchange was. The Columbian Exchange, in essence, was the process by which things like crops, commodities, and other trading items, people, and diseases traveled across the Atlantic from Europe to the Americas and vice versa. It is also important to understand and know about the man behind the Columbian Exchange, per se. Christopher Columbus himself. He traveled from Palos de Frontera in Spain with the intent to find a new route to India. And in 1492, he landed in the Americas, completely by mistake. The place he landed is known as Guyana, and it is in the Caribbean. Here are some things about Christopher Columbus. He was the first known European to discover the Americas, and he basically brought Europe to the Americas, which kicked off a period known as the Columbian Exchange. Now let's circle back and talk about some of the impacts of the Columbian Exchange. Starting off with the pros, we have the fact that the Columbian Exchange helped to unify the world zones. It began a massive global agricultural revolution as well, and helped to spread crops like maize and tomatoes worldwide. It also helped to spread livestock such as cattle and sheep globally. It also led to a massive increase in global trading, the exchanging of ideas, and an increase in global collective learning. Now onto the cons of the Columbian Exchange, where things such as the destruction of indigenous cultures like the Aztec culture, who were viewed as wild, uncivilized, and inhumane, and were destroyed by Spanish settlers/explorers, as well as the imposing of European ideas like Christianity on indigenous cultures. Another con of the Columbian Exchange was the creation of the transatlantic slave trade, where African people were enslaved by Europeans and then taken to the Americas to work on plantations. The Columbian Exchange also brought Afro-Eurasian diseases such as smallpox to the Americas. These diseases decimated the indigenous American populations who weren't used to them. The smallpox disease killed about 90% of the indigenous American population, which was about 10% of the global population at the time. The exchange also led to diseases such as syphilis being brought back to Europe. However, the effects of that exchange was not as severe as the smallpox in the Americas. The Columbian Exchange also negatively impacted the biosphere and natural climate of the Americas, with its changes in the natural food chain, where humans hunted down and cut down a lot of flora and fauna, as well as bringing over other animals that changed the food chain, to the point where humans essentially became the apex predator in the ecosystem, as well as a change in the natural climate through overhunting and overuse of soil and destruction of plants, etc., and the changing of the landscape, both using livestock and human means. One of the most important things to consider when examining the Columbian Exchange and its impact is whether or not the pros outweigh the cons, and exactly who did the Columbian Exchange benefit. Which basically means, did the Columbian Exchange benefit us more than it took away? And exactly who benefited from it? Which for most of it, the Europeans and European monarchs would be the ones benefiting.